Okay, for this last one, it's example 4. Simon and David read a total of 23 books over the summer. Simon reads 5 more books than David. How many books did David read? So, this is a question where we need to set up a systems of equations because we are solving for two things. We're solving essentially for how many books David read, but to figure that out, we also have to know how many books Simon read. So let's start by defining our variables. I'm going to say x equals books Simon read. And I bet you can guess what y will be. Y will be the books David read. On iLearn, when you define your variables, you will have to write out the full description, and if you don't do that, they do take off points. So it's really important that we get the habit of writing the full description to define our variables and say what they mean. Okay, so now we are going to set up our systems of equations. The first one is easy. It tells us that Simon and David read a total of 23 books over the summer. So that means that x, so the books Simon read, plus the books David read, which is y, equals 23. That is our first systems of equations. Now for the second one, we are going to use this information that says Simon read, I'll make that a little bit easier for you guys to see. Simon read 5 more books than David. So to illustrate that, we will write, x, Simon's books, equals the books David read plus 5. So those are our two systems of equations. Now we are in luck because one of these already starts with x equals. So if something starts with x equals or y equals, we can just go ahead and plug that in right away. So we know x equals y plus 5, so go ahead and put brackets around that. And if x equals y plus 5, we are just going to plug that in for x. So we know x is y plus 5, so we're going to plug y plus 5 in for x so we can solve for y. So I'm going to rewrite this below. So for x, we have y plus 5. And once again, just to be really clear, I'm writing this below. I'm just subbing in y plus 5 for x. So we have y plus 5 plus y equals 23. Okay, now when we solve this, we start by combining our variables. So on the left, I have 2 y's, which makes 2y. And I have that plus 5 equals 23. Subtract 5 from each side. So we have 2y, 5 minus 5 is 0, and 23 minus 5 is 18. Our last step is to divide each side by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and we would get y equals 9. So y equals 9, the books that David read. Now at this point, we know that Simon read 5 more books than David. So to figure out the books that Simon read, we're just going to add the books David read plus 5, which gives you 14. So what this means to us is that Simon, we used x to represent Simon, read 14 books, and David, which is represented by y, read 9 books.